Hello, if you're new to my channel, my name's Allie. I'm a personal jeweler and I talk primarily about engagement rings on this channel. Thus far, I have a whole playlist for engagement rings if you're in the process of shopping for one or just researching. Hopefully this video will be helpful, and this one is about budget and how much you should spend on an engagement ring because it's a very hot topic and it always has been. The old rule of thumb was that it should be 2 to 3 months of your salary, which was a marketing strategy invented by De Beers, which is so funny because De Beers is kind of like the diamond monopoly, the Amazon of diamonds. You could only buy diamonds through them, so of course they're gonna make up that rule of thumb and enforce it. However, because of lab diamonds, that has completely changed. So let's discuss. It definitely depends on whether you want a lab or a natural diamond. Natural diamonds are about 10,000 per carat. So with that being said, if you want something that's around 2 carats, which I feel like is a good size for natural, expect to spend $20,000. I've made an entire video on the differences between lab diamonds and natural diamonds. In my professional opinion, is the only difference really is the price and where they're made. So in my opinion, if you have the money to spend on a natural diamond, more power to you. I love natural diamonds, but if not, I know most people would rather buy a house or a car or something else to contribute to, your new family life that comes with getting married. I would say don't bother and buy a lab diamond because it's the exact same thing, typically nicer quality, and you will be spending around $5,000 for a nice sizable ring. So let's break down the pricing process if you are working with a custom jeweler. So typically you will be paying about $1,000 to $1,500 for the setting, and this can differ because if you want a very heavy gold setting, gold is so expensive right now that it might be more, but for a traditional solitaire, expect it to be around the 1,000 mark. Again, this is for custom. Typically, if you work with a bigger brand, they will have more affordable options. But with that, you have to remind yourself that the quality might not be as impressive as a custom-made ring because they are outsourced and manufactured overseas. So factoring in the labor and gold and materials for just the setting alone, I expect it to at least be around $1,000. Like I mentioned earlier, if you are looking for a natural diamond, expect about 10,000 per carat. If you are looking at a lab diamond, don't pay more than 1,000 per carat. And of course, those prices can vary based on the color and clarity and size and cut. That will all be personal preference and dependent on your budget. Typically, a lot of my projects are lab diamonds, and I would say the average price is $5,000. I think that's reasonable for an engagement ring. Typically, people shopping for lab diamonds will get at least a 3 carat. That's the average size that I see, and that will be right around $5,000, including the custom setting. As for naturals, I would say the typical average size is 2 carats, and for that you can expect the 20,000 range. Again, I don't think you should ever put pressure on yourself to spend more than what you can afford on an engagement ring. You can always upgrade it down the road. If you want something custom, budget for at least $5,000. I think that will give you room to be creative, add things that you want, and still get a really beautiful ring where you're not compromising on the setting or stone. Another great option if you want to spend less is to look at vintage and antique options. There are lots of antique vintage jewelry stores, vintage fine jewelry, and they have really great options. Typically with older pieces, they use natural diamonds. So if you are someone who wants a natural diamond, they will be much less if they have already been placed in a ring. and the ring is just being resold. And you can get something really nice for much less because the ring has already been made. You don't have to factor in the current price of gold as much. I'm sure when they sell it, they'll factor that in. And you are only paying for the gold that is in the ring. You're not accounting for any extra gold that is used during the custom process that gets filed away. So let me know what you would spend on an engagement ring, what you expect someone to spend on an engagement ring for you. And let me know if you have any other questions. And speaking of budgeting and pricing, my next video will be a pricing video, and I asked my jeweler to send me a list of pricing so you can have a reference point for 3-carat lab stones. And I'm doing lab because those are easier to price, just because the process for finding a natural diamond is much harder, because you have to really balance the 4 C's, and that kind of depends on the client and their needs. So it's easier to just give a more general pricing for lab diamonds. And if you follow me on any of my other social medias, I am having a jewelry sale this week. It's a week long. I know fine jewelry is a bigger purchasing decision, so I wanted you to have more time. And it's just kind of a sample sale. I've designed some things over the past year just to give myself practice, and I would say they're all cute. So it's all solid gold, custom made, and my stock items will be 20% off. Here's some of our sample sale items. These are just stock pieces that I've designed and had made, and I figured might as well put them on sale. Fun. And bridal will be 15% off, which is, I think some of them, there's like $700 of savings. And of course, we just introduced our lab diamond basics, tennis bracelets, and diamond studs. Those will all be 10% off, and that won't happen often. I think I'll probably do a Black Friday sale, but that is that. Again, I hope that was helpful. Let me know if there are any other topics you want me to cover in regard to engagement rings, and I will see you in my next video.